What you see on that cutting mat are all the different pieces of the rotary attachment that I will use with the xTool D1 Pro. In addition to those pieces are the risers that will lift the engraver up high enough for the rotary attachment and whatever is put on it to situate underneath the module on the engraver. Now I'm going to go through all of these different pieces and show how they're used. So let me put these away and we'll get started with that. The first thing we need to look at is the rotary attachment itself. It's got two rollers on here. You can set them for different widths of objects. And the first thing you need to do is make sure that it is running parallel to the gantry. To do that, I'm going to bring the gantry forward, put a piece of plywood against it, and then when I take it up against the rotary attachment, I can see that it is sitting parallel to the gantry. So that is ready to go. To make this roller work, of course, we need a cable to connect it to the engraver. And this cable has two different ends. One has 6 pins, which goes to the roller, and one has 4 pins, which goes to the engraver. I need to pull this connector out of here that's going to the Y-axis stepper motor. Being very gentle, I don't want to ruin that connector. And this is one of the very few weaknesses that I have found on this system. There should be, in my opinion, a second connector like this with a switch to choose the one you want to use. As it is, by plugging and unplugging these two often, I think it might ruin it. Now here's the plug for the rotary attachment, and I'll do the other end. Now I can put in the 6-pin connector, and it will only go in one way. It's very helpful if this can be level. So let's take this little level that came with it and see where we're at. And it's fairly high on this end. So I have some shims here. This is 1.5 millimeters thick. I'll set it under there. And that is better. It's not perfect, but it's about as close as I'm going to get. I think that turned out pretty nicely. To change the roller to a different position, just go on the bottom here and take out this screw. Then you can lift this up and slide it over to the next spot. I'll put it into the B location now. And if you've got a real large piece, you can move it over to C. Now I'm ready for a larger cylinder. What you're looking at here is a mallet, and this is, I believe, the first thing I ever turned. Now, this did look as ugly as that, only worse, because of course it had been beating on things for years. So I turned this away, and now I want to just put my name on there. So I'm going to just move this over here manually. I'm going to frame it. And I've got this set at 4,000 millimeters per minute and 50% power. I think that will be enough, but let's find out. All right, I am not going to complain about that. I think that looks pretty good. Except that at the beginning I had forgotten to turn on the air assist, and you can see a little bit of char in here, whereas once I turned it on, that's all very clean. So it does make a difference. The next thing I want to use is the chuck and jaws. To do that, I need to turn this over upside down and put this in here, and I can just reach down through here to tighten these two set screws. I hope those show up so you can see them in there. Alright, now I'm going to put the jaws on the chuck. I have the choice of two sets of jaws to go on this chuck. There are these that are quite high, and these have two different levels to choose from. And I think I'm going to try this set right here. So I just need to put these on, put a couple screws in to hold it, and I'll do that off camera and be right back. I realized that for what I want to mount in these jaws, I needed to use the other ones. These are not only higher, but they come out further a little bit, and I need that larger diameter. So my next step is going to be to remove these rollers so they're not in the way. I'll do that and I'll be right back. I removed the screws from underneath these pieces so they can lift right off of there. And this one I can just lift it up at an angle and pull it out of there. This one, there were two set screws that I had to take out here. And now I can just slide that right out of there. Now to get this chuck working, I just need to put this belt around this pulley, then put it around the pulley on the chuck, set it on here, and there are two screws that go down through here and into these holes. So I will put those on. And again, I'll be right back. All right, now these jaws should clear nicely. Just double check that they do. I've mounted a tumbler on the engraver, and I want to put my logo on it. My logo is set for 75 inches square, but if I put a round object on there, it's not going to look round because of the fact that it's tapered down the sides of this tumbler. So I'm going to change this, and I'm going to make it 10% wider than what it is right now. So if I add 10% to 75, I should get 82.5. Now I'm going to rotate that minus 90 degrees, because that's the way I want it to show up on the tumbler. And I will check that I have the rotary set up right. I've got it clicked on chuck, enabled the rotary, mirrored the output. I have set the millimeters per rotation at 128, and the top of the tumbler is 87.75 millimeters in diameter. So I'm ready with that. I believe I have the laser lined up properly. Just going to check. It says it's going to take 29 minutes. I am going to be burning this at 8,000 millimeters per minute and 100% power. Now let's check that time again. That brings it down to 5 minutes and 43 seconds. Much better. All right, I'm going to frame this. And I believe we're ready, so it's time to start. All right, let's see how that turned out. Okay, so far so good. I'm going to take this now. I'm going to clean this off with denatured alcohol and then wash it with soap and water, and I'll be back to show you how it looks. All right, now this is not perfect, but for a first effort, I'm quite pleased. I'm sure it's going to be a matter of trial and error getting this dialed in to make this, hopefully, as shiny as this band around here. As you can see, I've replaced the jaws with these things. The idea being that I could put something in between there, and I've also put this on that will support the end. And just for the heck of it, I'm going to try an egg. Now, I will admit, I had thought about trying a raw egg, but I think that would probably be a little bit silly. So this is hard-boiled. Shouldn't be any problem at all. And let's just see if I can bring that up and frame this. All right, that's looking pretty good. Now, having no idea what an egg will put up with for power, I don't know what would happen if I increased this. But I think I will. I'll change the settings, try it again. I'll just rotate this, and I'll bring you back to see the results. Well, there's not a great deal of difference between the two, although this is a little more uniform in its burning, and I changed that to 100% power. Still, I think this is kind of a neat experiment. Now I want to see whether this will be all right to burn on here, and it's very ratty softball. This thing's just, well, who knows how old. So I'm going to mount this on here and see what we come up with on it. I had set the speed and power to 3,000 millimeters per minute and 100% power. And I think those were just fine. Now, unfortunately, this being a round piece, I should have reduced this dimension and left this where it's at. It's at 50 by 50, but I think I should have brought this in to maybe 30. Anyway, my biggest complaint, boy, does this stuff stink when you're burning it. Now, one thing you might be wondering, would I be willing to pay for this if xTool had not sent it to me to review? Well, the answer is a resounding yes. You bet your bippy I would. I think this thing is amazing. It has so many potential uses I can think of, and it is a lot of fun to work with. So yes, I would purchase it. And I want to thank xTool for sending it to me. I really enjoyed working with it, and I hope to put it to use in a lot of different applications. And I want to thank you for dropping in. I hope you enjoyed what you saw, and you'll consider subscribing if you haven't done that before. I really do appreciate my subscribers more than I can tell you. Also, click the like button if you enjoyed this, and click the dislike button if you didn't. I appreciate any comments you might want to make. I love reading the comments, and I reply to them. As well, if you could click the share button and send it out to some of your friends, that helps my channel, and I really appreciate it. Thank you for joining me. I hope you'll come back next time, and between now and next time, have a great day in your shop and be safe. Take care now. Bye-bye.